Well, it's Oscar season again, and I'm gonna head out to Los Angeles in a few weeks to the Costume Designer Guild Awards. We have it at the Beverly Hilton just right before the Oscars, and we have all our top costume designers coming out and award best costume for film, TV, commercials, and we're honoring Glenn Close this year, so we have a lot of celebrities there and top costume designers who I just admire so much, and I'm excited. But what am I going to wear? Every year I have to do that. So I typically wear black every year, and this year I thought I'm going to take one of my old gowns and give it a fashion evolution and add a punch of color to some of my black stuff. So what I thought of doing was taking this old gown. It has like a lace bottom, great bodice here. It's comfortable to wear too. So when you're comfortable, you always kind of look good. So this is the dress I'm going to evolve, and I'm going to show you what I did coming up. Well, I got my inspiration from one of my students, Tessa, and she had sketched this really fun color block idea, and I loved it so much that I actually made it. And it's right here. So she had a like triangle shape with all different colors, and their skirt part here, it has a turquoise, just like her sketch on it. And I used this fabric called Radiance, and I had to cut this like on the bias and all. This was actually kind of a hard little pattern to do. It took a lot of time just to build the pattern and then to make it. It was quite challenging. So that was her sketch, and then what I thought about doing this is doing the top as my skirt, my dress there, and then taking off the skirt and then adding this circle skirt. The circle skirt is shaped like a big donut, and it has the waist measurement in the middle, and then you fit it on the waist, and then the fabric just kind of drapes out, and it goes straight, so there's no gathers at the waist. And then from there I could just put all my color chunks on it. But I'm not going to just place them on there. I'm actually going to cut them into the seam, so I got to do a lot of pattern work and make seam allowances and all that, so it's going to be kind of challenging. The fabrics I have are from leftover from my stash from my evening gown days, and I've got about a good 4 yards of this fabric. It's called 4-ply silk, and used to do a lot of gowns out of this. It runs about $60 a yard, so I want to do a muslin first to make sure. I don't want to ruin it, although I've been holding on to it forever. I don't even know where I got it. And then I have all these other like little swatches of these other 4-ply silks. I've got a green and a blue, and then I've got this really pretty red silk charmeuse, and I have some turquoise and yellow. It's like a silk cotton somewhere in my stash, and I got to find that. That one's called Radiance. And so I have the fabric and everything. I just have to go get muslin. So I'm going to go to the fabric store, get some muslin, and get started, and I'll be right back. Back from the fabric store, got a lot of muslin. Gonna need it because I gotta make long circle skirt. Takes a lot of fabric, like a big donut with a lot of fabric. The long circles, the circle skirts, so they fit slim at the top and then flare out at the bottom, and then they take just a lot of fabric on the bottom. So the longer they are, the more and more fabric it takes. So just $1.50 a yard for muslin here. I got about 10 yards, and I'm able to just chop it up, see how it works. Also, I separated my skirt from the bodice, and I did so carefully. I just picked out all the threads and took out the overlock. Sometimes I just cut things off, but my plan is to possibly wear this again. Kind of take off the long skirt and then reattach the short one, and then I have a cocktail dress back, so it's like 2 dresses in one, I think. So this is the bodice, really great classic piece, and I'll make that muslin and then attach it to the bottom of this, try it on, see how it fits, and then cut out color swatches of my planned color blocking and place them on the skirt, see how I like it, get the placement, and then go into the pattern drafting part of that also, which might get more confusing because I don't want to just lay them on there. I want to sew them in. So I'm going to get to that next. So here I have my circle skirt, just 1/4 of the circle skirt cut out. It's going on one cross grain here and a length grain there. I've got it measured 40 inches from the length, and then at the high hip area I measured the bodice, and it was in the probably around 41 inches, somewhere in that zone. And so I just put a 10 1/4 inch dip right here, and then added a 1/2 inch seam allowances, and that gives me my 1/4 of the circle skirt. And then I made up another one, so now I have half of the circle skirt right here, and then I'll make another 2 more quarters, sew them together, and then attach it to the bodice and see how it fits, and then start my pattern design on it. So circle skirts are pretty easy to draft. They just take a lot of fabric. I even had to piece some muslin to the other muslin here. So they're pretty straightforward, and they actually really make beautiful skirts. So I'm going to attach this to the bodice and see how it looks. Well, I got the full circle skirt basted onto the bodice, and it really has a beautiful drape to it. It's so full. This is how they make those Ginger Roger type dresses that are really fun to dance in, and they just fly. All that fabric is up here. It's like there's limited fabric here, and then it's all this fabric, so it has a lot of movement when you walk. But it takes a lot of fabric, and really hard to hem because you have to actually get it even. I think I'm going to have to get some help on that. But this is how it looks in the front and the back, and then the back's going to be a zipper there, and here's your front a little bit more. You see all that fullness in here, a lot of fabric. So my next step is to take my invisible air erasable marker and draw my shapes of my color blocks on here, kind of where I want to have it, and then I'm going to cut out some white muslin shapes and place them on here so it looks a little like a contrast, and figure out the best shaping for it when it's on the dress form, and then take it off of there and lay it out and try to make a pattern out of it. It's going to be difficult. So that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, I've been at this for a little while. I just went ahead and cut out the color swatches here out of triangle shapes, and I had some scrap fabric, so I just cut out some different colors. I was just going to do all white, but I thought might as well look at what the colors look like. I have one up here. I really like this one up here because it's going to cover that center seam, and so I got to try to get that to lay smoothly coming out of the top. And so this is what it looks like so far, and then I've got some on the bottoms. Looks like a coat of many colors. I really don't know how this is going to look. I'm hoping it doesn't look like a patchwork mess, because I've never done it quite like this before. These insetting these pieces. I could just lay them over here, but then you got fabric that frays, and you have like a little frays, and then it would look like a patchwork mess. But so if I can inset it in here, at least it looks like it was on purpose. So this is something you could do too if you have a lot of spots on a skirt too. You could actually just chop it up and make a patchwork out of it. So we actually do that at our school. We do one of our second projects for the students is a patchwork skirt, because it gets them at the machine for a long time. We just do like 5 by 5 squares and build a fabric out of swatches, make a skirt out of it, and it's a really great project to get the kids at the machine a lot, putting the presser foot up and down, that kind of thing. So so patchwork is quite fun, and I love color blocking, so I can't wait to see how this is going to look. So I'm going to put it on the table and lay out and get a pattern here and go with that. I think I'm going to finish the rest of this up tomorrow. I think I've had enough. Okay, well, I went home, looked at the videotape here, of the dress, and I didn't really love it that much. You guys are probably going, I don't know about that. So I thought I'm going to do a little safer approach. And also, it was a little daunting to actually inset all those pieces. It really takes a lot of pattern work, and I only have a few days before I leave for California to go to the Guild Awards. So time's limited, brain power is a little limited. So I thought of another idea. And on top of everything, I measured the piece of fabric I have. I have 6 yards of 4-ply silk. And one of the things I'm a little afraid of it was that's $60 a yard, that fabric. So I'm in just under $400 on that fabric. Although I don't remember where I got that fabric from. I don't remember buying it. It had to be in my stash 15 years. And but it's still painful to think about how much that was. So I had some other ideas. So what I'm going to do first is I can cut out a full circle skirt with 6 yards. I think I need 5.5. I don't have to have the center seam in the middle. I can just cut it on the fold. And I'm going to attach it to the top and have a whole solid black dress, which is classic. And then what I thought I'd do is just do color godets insetted. I'm just going to top stitch them on top of the skirt, and then I can always top stitch them if I don't like it, or if I want to change it up and just make a basic black. And then if I even want to do those other pieces later. So that's my new idea. And I'm going to start that. Now I'm going to cut out the skirt, put it on there, try it on, see how it looks, and then I'll make some insets and then stitch them on. And the hem, I have an idea for that too. So I'm going to get started on that. I only have a few days. I have it all laid out. It took pretty much the whole 6 yards. I have about a half a yard left at the bottom there, and I'm going to need to use that for the bias trim to go around the hem. Had to add 1 inch to the length to make sure it's long enough, and I had to, where it took up the big spot was I had to add 5 inches extension to the center front and center back here, because the length didn't quite fit. If I were 3 inches shorter, it would have fit perfect. But now I think I'm gonna start cutting. Phew. Got that done. Cut it out, made the skirt, put the zipper in, connected it. It just took a couple hours, so it wasn't too bad. But I'm not even gonna line this or anything. It has such beautiful weight to it. But it turned out really nice. Just drapes beautifully. The zipper connected it back in really nicely, and just kind of made a dart down here and fit it in there. And the other really good thing is I thought the blacks were gonna really, because this one's a little blacker, this has a little bit browner undertone, they seem to mold in really well together. I was going to actually think about putting a piping here. Sometimes you do that, it can break the color up. But it just looks great. I put it on too, and such a classic dress. I'll have this forever. And so it looks beautiful. One thing I did too is I cut up the muslin itself, the little godets that I drew out, and I cut them out of the muslin and put seam allowances on, so I'll have a pattern right there, because I don't need the muslin anymore, I don't think. And so I put the godets cut out on there, so I have some patterns for them. And I'm going to call this the Crayola dress. So I have all those different colors. And also I'm just going to cut out some colors, pin them on there, and see how that looks. I've got all these colors of different silks. I have some 4-plies in here, a charmeuse, fabric called Radiance, and I'm going to cut all those godets out and pin a few on there, see how they look, and then cut the rest, because I don't want to cut this fabric up either, just in case I don't like this and I change my mind overnight tonight. So I have to let this dress hang overnight because it's really stretching on this the side fronts here, the fabric is dipping because it's very heavy, so that means the hem is very uneven, and I'm gonna have to let it hang out, and then tomorrow balance it out, and then put the godets on. So I will pick this back up tomorrow. Well, I'm back. That was quick, huh? Actually, it's been a couple days, and I've been letting this dress hang out, and a pretty heavy dress, and it's been kind of really weighing down, but I got it hemmed perfectly. I measured it up off the floor where I needed it and tried it on, and the hem is just perfect. So got it all trimmed up, ready to go, and then while it was hanging out there, I was prepping the godets. I got them all cut out. I did 8 of them, 2 in each color, and then pressed the hems in like a 1/2 inch, so that, because I'm just going to top stitch them on the dress, and then I pinned them up on my ironing board and let them hang out. So just because I was kind of working on the hem at the same time, might as well, because they're, you know, the grain's on there too, let them hang out, and then measured out where they're going to be on the dress. I kind of quartered, because it's a big circle skirt, put them on there and measured out evenly so that I would get them on there, put some marks on it, and then laid out the godets on the dress, pinned them, but I just ended up just sewing them on individually because I didn't want to put all those pins on there, and I had to change out the thread color each time. That was a pain, and got them all sewn on, so it's pretty fun. So, oh, this is what it looks like, by the way. So, it is my Crayola dress. So it's really fun because they hang into the folds, and then when you move, they pop out. So really fun. There is one little problem, and it's the green one here. This was the last one I sewed on, and I think I was in a bit of a hurry, and I kind of sensed it when I was putting it on. It wasn't matching up very well, and some of the marks had come off, and I got it about 1.5 inches, 2 inches higher than the other ones. I think that's a good 2 inches. So now I sewed it all on, and now I gotta take it off and reset it. But thank gosh, it's not black thread on here. It's the inside is a green thread, so it'd be much easier to pop off. So I'm just gonna pop that off, reset it, stitch it, and then I can move on to the binding of the hem, which is going to be time consuming. So I'll be right back. Well, I got that done. It didn't take too long either. It's only about 15 minutes. And my trick was a sharp seam ripper. I always put tape on my sharp ones so I know where's the new one at, because sometimes you don't want a really sharp one. But this, what I did was I just popped off like every 5 threads, and then I was able to just pull it off, and then all the threads were around and just pluck them off. You can also take a like tape and then get all the threads off. It comes right off. So put it back on, and if anything it's a tad too short. I was just being careful, but I think it's going to mold in there fine. So my next step is to hem this thing, and I measured the bottom of this, kind of did a rough measurement, and I'm over 8 yards long here. So I have to cut over 8 yards of seam binding, or I'm going to do like a bias binding, and hopefully I don't cut too much because I'd hate to put together 12 yards and then that was a waste of time and fabric. But first what I did was I did a sample. I actually cut 2-inch piece of some fabric and rolled it, like kind of pinned it and rolled it in to figure out how much I need, and about a 1/2 inch over because I don't want to have to cut this and then trim it. So I'm just gonna cut 1.5 inches wide of fabric, and I found this silk charmeuse in my stash, and it's shiny on one side, and they both sides look really good, but I think I'm going to use the dull side on here because I think it might just kind of mold in a little bit better, and it's going to be really small too, so it doesn't matter. But I went ahead and measured all the strips. I hope I have 8 yards, and then cut them all. That was pretty fun, especially charmeuse. It's very slippery, and this is what I have. That's hopefully 8 yards. It doesn't look like it, but then I have to stitch these together. And what I do is got to pin them together like this, right sides together. Make sure I don't do the charmeuse on the shiny side on there, and then stitch them all together and get seam binding, just strip and then sew them on, roll, press it, roll it over, and then the hem is done. So hopefully this is easy. It's going to be a little time consuming, a good hour or so. And the best thing about this hem is the dress is so full, it's easy to get your heel caught in there, so there's no heel getting caught in there. So everything's going to be nice and safe and secure on the inside of the hem. And then I'll have my dress just about done. So I'll show you how it looks when I get it finished. Well, got that done. That only took about an hour, but it's tedious because it's just sew and then flip it and then sew it some more. And always make sure you have plenty in your bobbin, because you wouldn't want to be sewing and then it run out. That actually happened on one of the Go days. I did one whole side and it didn't have, I ran out of a bobbin. So dress is done. It looks really great. The hem, it turned out really good. This is what the bottom of it looks like. Nice trim on the end on all the colors. I wish I would have cut them 2 inches wide, because I did need that little extra to roll over. I mean, it was pretty close. And when it seems like when I got to the color parts, that's when it kind of got a little tighter. So, but it ended up working. It would also have been much easier to cut out 2-inch strips, because the invisible ruler I use is 2 inches, and I could have just stripped them down instead of having to measure them all out. But it's done. So this is the dress, and I'm gonna wear it. I leave for California in a couple days, and I do have to add one thing. I'm gonna add a scarf. I have this beautiful blue, like a satin chiffon that was left over from my wedding dress. I did a nautical theme wedding dress 3 years ago, and almost 3 years ago. And I'm gonna put that around my shoulders like that, and I'm gonna shape this kind of in a triangle shape here, and add a little more color up on top, because I'm always wearing black, so I thought that would be fun. And I'll get you some pictures at the event, the Costume Designer Guild, and hopefully get some pictures with my mentors, the costume designers that I just love their work. And I'll put that at the end of this video. And don't forget to subscribe to So Chanel Fashion Evolutions, and I'll bring you some more videos. But we will see you soon.
My point is, we need every single one of you, and I don't just mean designers, I'm talking about all the assistant designers, the illustrators,